Hey friends, Merry Christmas. I hope you've all had a lovely, lovely Christmas day. I have certainly had that. Had a wonderful morning with my wife and daughter, and then Katie's family came over, and we just had a wonderful time. You know, um, I was speaking yesterday about grace and about how I'm in a way very consciously kind of employing this holiday to remind me of grace and to serve as an opportunity to lean into that and to be as clear as possible about not being in control, as clear as possible about hanging on and investing and caring, but at the same time completely letting go. And I've had, I think, it's kind of incredible to witness a family coming together, and especially when it's not your family, not the family that you're from. There's a way that we can kind of open the door to, I guess what it feels like to me is almost like it's almost like a healing power that these holidays have. And I think that that's why they're so intense sometimes. It's almost, cliche that the holidays, when you get together with family, are intense. It's kind of a well-worn cliche, I would say. And I just sort of find myself noticing and observing how what's happening there. The reason why it's intense is because there's a certain kind of connection happening. There's a certain kind of, everybody has evolved in the meantime. I think this is probably also a product of, the way we live in this age, because it's like we're all over the place. We move around the world, we move around the country, and we come together for the holidays. Now, that's been that way for quite a while, but it's becoming that way for more and more people. And I think there's a phenomenon that occurs where we have this individual growth that we're going through as individuals, after we become independent from our families to whatever degree. We have this evolution that's happening as individuals. We come back together as a family, and it's kind of like we're negotiating all that. Who am I here? Who are all these people here? And people have, made strides. People have changed. People have they've made new selves of themselves. And to witness that in a family that's not your own is almost kind of easier. It's more, there's a little just more easy. I think it's easier to hold it all. I think it's easier to observe it and to kind of, there's no investment in any of it. It's not activated as it is with our own family, where all that stuff changes fundamental relationships in some way. And I've said this before, and I think and whenever there's a kind of a holiday that comes up, I'm always reminded of it. But I am a huge proponent and a huge fan of doing deep work, spiritual work, alongside our family and within our families, not just our families that go forward, but the families that we come from. I think there's an incredible benefit to continuing to evolve those fundamental relationships. One of the things I'm learning from virtually everything I'm reading, and I think I did a post on this early on, maybe a couple months into my posting. I did a post on what, basically how any friction that we have with our childhood or with the way that we grew up or any of that, there comes a point in our lives where we are the only people who can give ourselves what we would have needed back then, and that's the sort of philosophy that I found really beautifully addressed by Alice Walker when she said, actually, there are things that we can miss in our development that we can't go back and fix. In other words, you miss something as a 5-year-old, you can't go back to being 5 and fix it, but we can grieve it, and that grief process is the healing. The accepting of that lost thing is the healing. And I find that so beautiful because it makes it so clear what's happening when we grieve. We are letting something go. When we grieve something that we've missed, something that we've irretrievably lost, in other words, a kind of a flaw in our upbringing, and Alice Walker says kind of harrowingly a couple of times, if a child doesn't get this at this point, then that child will never be able to make up, will never be able to recover. It's these terminal pronouncements that feel, I think, to our contemporary kind of self-help sensibilities, they feel a bit dire. But what I appreciate about it, and what I really respect about it, is she's not whitewashing anything. She's not making anything okay. She's saying grief is how we heal that. It's not that we can go get it now, because going to get it now, going to recover that thing that we lost in childhood or missed or whatever it happens to be, that's just going to send us on a race. It's going to send us down on a chase of something that we can never recover. Grieving the loss and letting it go, that's healing. And so I think that just comes through. That's come through really profoundly recently as an insight, and it's also, I think, as the holidays roll around, and as we witness these kind of fundamental dynamics. Again, like I said, I'm a huge fan of keeping that stuff online and being willing and being really engaged in continuing to evolve those relationships, however they look. Because I just sense that there's not because we can fix something, not because we can go back and get something from our families or give something to our, we can't go back and fix the past, But we can perhaps grow together as close friends, the closest of close friends, as close as you can possibly be as friends. And there's also another level on which I feel like once we recognize that that's what's happening, and once we recognize that nothing about those interactions is gonna fix any of the issues. It's interesting to watch in a family, or to be in a family constellation and sort of notice where the tension points are, where the lines of the kind of lines of communication or tension are. But that's not what we're there to fix. But we might be there to recognize why this gaggle of people was thrown together for a particular chapter of their cosmic journey. Why do we share a family this time around? And I think that's something, once we've let go of the idea that I can fix anything about my family, that I can get fixed by them in any way, once I let that go, I can simply take an interest in why this family, why me in this family, why this particular constellation of people. And the Christmas holiday is one, and this whole period through New Year's is just one where I've always felt like I come a major step forward in my life, like in my own evolution. I always come away from these breaks, but really they're not breaks, they're intense chapters. I've always felt I come away with them newly enlightened in a new place, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for my family and Katie's family, and a real willingness to do that, to go there, to be in that game together, and to face it, open up to it, hold the potential discomfort of it, just be together in the deepest way. I'm so appreciative. So that's what Christmas was this year. Now, luckily, we get to go up to Santa Fe tomorrow and be with my family and take Aunt Elise up and have a second Christmas day. She's going to think there are two Christmases up until she's 12 years old, I'm sure. But that's okay too. So yeah, looking forward to that. And sending love to all of you. Merry, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for being in my life. Have a wonderful holiday. I'll see you tomorrow.